Hello, we are Team One, and our topic is stress. I'm Chelsea Davis, and presenting with me is Edmund Amami and Ruby Hassan. So, what is stress? The World Health Organization defines stress as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. And these difficult situations can vary greatly and affect all ages, as seen in our different articles, ranging from astronauts handling the burden of space exploration to students navigating college throughout COVID 19 and children handling stress in early childhood.
For Article 1, we'll talk about the burden of space exploration on the mental health of astronauts. The research that is being used comes from a myriad of different articles ranging from the 1st of January 1963 all the way to August 31st, 2021. The purpose of this specific scientific journal is to compile an immense amount of research spanning from the 1960s to the present day into one single comprehensive resource. The research question being proposed is, what mental burden does space exploration pose to astronauts? For the methods, the subject of the journal will be on the astronauts. The assessment timeline will be for short and long missions over the span of 58 years, and everything that's being tracked is all the English written studies for every human space launch available. So for many of the key findings is microgravity, radiation, and emotional and interpersonal issues. Microgravity is an interesting problem because our bodies have been adapted to withstand the forces of 9.81 meters per second per second. What's really fortunate is the human body is very adaptable. There's actually a condition named space adaptation syndrome. This is the body's adjustment process to being in low Earth orbit from Earth's nominal gravity on the surface. When the astronauts first arrive in space, their balance and fluid in their inner ear are out of regulation because of the diminished influence of gravity. Radiation is going to be harmful and costly for the astronaut. It affects their learning and memory, it alters their executive function, and their CNS. As of now, space vehicles or the ISS, including PPE, will not protect an astronaut fully from the radiation side effects. Because of these ailments, noise exposure and habitability of space becomes exceedingly difficult. The review shows that there are a lot of psychological and physiological issues that occur when performing human spaceflight. The primary stress indicators an astronaut are going to deal with while in low Earth orbit are health issues, emotional and interpersonal issues, and cognitive problems. While astronauts experience an extended amount of time in low Earth orbit, it is imperative that their CNS, bone, and cardiovascular health maintain in check. Astronauts will also experience depression and anxiety. This is due to the decrease in livable space and extended period time in low Earth orbit. Along with these ailments, the high amount of radiation that are being exposed to these astronauts' body lead to decreased motor functions, learning impairment, and memory impairment. The journal connects these stressors to three theoretical models. First is stress and coping. It looks into how astronauts in low Earth orbit are going to adapt and react to constant low G, radiation exposure, and extended work cycle. The second is a team dynamics and performance model. We peer into how astronauts interact with one another in tight, cramped quarters and their response to emergency situations emotionally. The ability to collectively work through a solution in a timely manner with pure focus and precision can spell the difference between life and death. Third is the cognitive model, which focuses on the immediate change in how a low G environment affects the cognitive functions of an astronaut during nominal and high tempo decision making.
Article number 2 is titled Constant Stress Has Become the New Normal: Stress and Anxiety Inequalities Among U.S. College Students in the Time of COVID 19. Before the pandemic, research had already shown high stress and anxiety levels in college students, particularly among women, LGBTQ community members, and those from lower income households. This study aimed to measure how those symptoms changed during the early months of COVID 19 and whether pre existing disparities across social identity groups became more pronounced. Their guiding question was: what changes in stress and anxiety did US college students experience during COVID 19, and did these differ across groups? Findings showed that overall stress and anxiety levels were moderate to high, with identity based disparities persisting across the two survey waves. The study identified three core stress factors: feeling overwhelmed or unable to cope, persistent worrying or anxiety, and differences in symptom severity based on identity. To interpret these results, the authors used three theoretical models. Mental Health Inequalities, which examined long-standing gaps in mental well-being that were visible or worsened during the pandemic. Pandemic-related life stressors such as remote learning, isolation, and disrupted routines. And lastly, mixed methods approach, where surveys measured symptoms while written responses revealed students' lived experiences and struggles. For the trial, the researchers surveyed 707 full-time college students aged 18 to 22 from across the United States. The assessments took place in April 2020 and then again in July 2020. For tracking, surveys were used to track stress and anxiety, and open-ended questions were used to capture personal experiences. The key findings included identity-based disparities, where women, LGBTQ+ members, and those from lower income homes reported higher stress and anxiety. The results were consistent over time, meaning inequalities persisted across both rounds of surveying. And lastly, in terms of life disruptions and unmet needs, open responses revealed struggles with isolation, disrupted routines, family conflict, and lack of support.
Our third article is Does Stress Predict the Development of Internalizing Symptoms in Middle Childhood? An examination of additive, mediated, and moderated effects of early family stress, daily interpersonal stress, and physiological stress. Previous research focused on stress factors independently, so the goal was to study multiple stress factors across early to mid childhood. 3 stress indicators were tested: family stress, so early parental and familial stress factors; daily interpersonal stress, which is whether a child experienced daily stress in relations with others; and diurnal cortisol pattern, which was the daily fluctuation of their cortisol levels. These were tested with 3 theoretical models: additive, so the sum of the stress factors; stress mediation, if early stress predicted later psychological symptoms; and stress sensitization, which it was if repeated exposure to early stress reduces the amount of stress needed later to cause psychopathy. Diverse twin sets were used with a total of 970 children, and noting that the study didn't use twin modeling for this. Family stress was recorded around 30 months, then daily stress and cortisol levels were tracked at 8 years, and internalized symptoms were recorded at 9 years. The key findings were that each form of stress predicted internalizing symptoms. Stress mediation was only a partial link, with daily stress mediating the link between early stress and internalizing symptoms, but cortisol levels didn't mediate it. And stress sensitization wasn't supported. The results actually went in the opposite direction, showing that early stress increased the amount of stress needed later on to cause psychopathy. So, for our impact on design, first we have design an interface that is intentional for delivering audio. From the astronaut study, we have learned that excessive noise plays a significant role in the reduction of performance when combined with other stressors. So, it's good to not have too much excessive noise or autoplaying videos in our designs. Second, based on the stress inequalities seen from the different demographics of college students in the second article, we know that we should prioritize using inclusive language and features in our designs. And lastly, stress is additive. So we should address stress at all levels of our designs, such as removing harsh colors, busy notifications, confusing or unpredictable patterns. And these should especially be considered whenever we are designing products for children. Future research, planet colonization. So, what are the physiological and psychological effects on stress for astronauts during long term habituation on differing celestial bodies? We also have for long term impact of pandemic stress. How did early pandemic stress affect students' long term mental health, academics, and help seeking across identity groups? And lastly, based off of the stress from the last article, mobile device stress. So, does daily usage of mobile devices increase stress levels in children? Thank you.